Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. It's Shannon, and I've got a whole slew of guests today. We are doing a little special release. I think we're going to probably do it several days in a row. We'll have to convene on that after, but this is a special release having to do with the Retreat Industry Forum. And I've got so many guests today that I'm really excited about. I've got my Retreat Industry Forum partners, Miss Alison and Erin. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
And then I also have two of our panel presenters who are going to be at the forum. Welcome, Daesha and Matt.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I actually feel like a little kid, like I'm almost shaking. I'm so excited, which is so ridiculous, but that's literally how excited I am about the forum. I'm excited to have you guys there. Our other speakers are amazing as well, but you guys especially, I got to meet you. Actually, me and Alison met you at the same time, right, Alison?
Yeah, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, Champagne, France. You know,
both Daesha and Matt. Both Daesha and Matt were there.
Yeah. Erin, I'm starting to think we might have to do some sort of like special forum thing in Champagne. I know we're doing one in Paris. In November. And so if you are interested in being at the Paris one, be sure to get on the list because we are going to open that up, I think, the day that we launch the Denver one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. We are. Yes. I don't know why I stumbled over that, but
that's okay.
You know what I was thinking about? Because you were saying maybe we need to do some type of like nod or special thing for Champagne. I was like, I mean, we could just have bottles of Dom Perignon at the forum.
I mean, don't twist my arm or anything.
No kidding. Right?
Allison's face though was like
the budget slightly.
It will impact the budget.
Look at Matt. See, Matt, of course, would say that because one of the things that Matt and Daesha are going to talk about briefly today is the logistics and operations and managing the flow of retreats and events, which is super important, including budget. And I have a feeling, Erin, Matt was probably always right behind you when you were like, let's just buy this. He's just probably like, Erin,
Matt has been
on the budget.
Yeah, Matt has been that for me in my life since we were 12.
I love that even more.
Yes.
So anyway, today we really just wanted to give a tiny little teaser of two of our amazing panel presenters, Matt and Daesha. And would either one of you guys like to start by just sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll move into like what we're going to talk about at the forum.
So my name is Matt Quinones. I run Admin Solutions, which, amongst other things, is an event planning and retreat logistics company. And so I focus on coordination, logistics, and providing concierge services. That's anything that, that maybe is a little too much for someone that's focused on their area of expertise with their retreat, but they need those logistics, those guest experience minded person taking care of it. And that's what I like to do.
And can I add something just because, as I mentioned before, Matt and I have been besties since we were 12. So I know like his entire life story, but I would say that something that is very impressive and lends really well to Matt's area of expertise is when he worked for the Disney company, Disney Productions, Disney Theatrical Group. And Matt, so we have both of us a background in theater. So everything with Matt is a full out production. It's like a spectacle. It's amazing. But to that end, not only does he have the experience in production, but also like organizing and coordinating the logistics for all of the Disney traveling productions. So when Frozen comes to your local theater, that is what he was responsible for coordinating with like hundreds of people, crews, flights all over the freaking world. And so he's really, really skilled in the logistics of like just managing full productions and a lot of freaking people.
I love that. He's also really good at the small details, like hooking a guest up with a Red Bull in France, which is hard to find. Do you remember
Sugar-free
that,
Red Bull in France, BT
which
dubs.
is really hard to find, by the way, because France is healthier, believe it or not, than the U.S., and they do not like that sugar-free shit. So from the big details to the small details. So welcome, Matt. Daesha, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I am Daesha Donze, founder and creative director, I like to say, of House of Styled, which is a retreat agency, something I've transitioned to. And I really love helping visionary founders translate their brands into real world experiences through retreats. And my background is really in fashion and experience design and marketing. So I brought that into the travel space with my travel agency, which eventually led to retreats because I just find that retreats are, I mean, one, they're the biggest brand builder that you can have and really like showcasing your expertise and your leadership and really bringing your people together in person because that's where the most transformation happens. So along with Matt, I do the logistics and all of those kinds of things, but really focusing on the host and what makes them, right? Like, and we translate that through your retreat. It's not cookie cutter. Right. It's so personalized, so custom, and that's so important.
And I want to give a little shout out to Daesha also, if I can, since I did give one to Matt. What I love about Daesha, having worked with her in the past, she's attended several of my retreats. I know her work very well, is like being able to walk into a retreat, walk into an environment and immediately say, oh my goodness, this feels like such and so and so. Like when somebody comes to my retreat, because of how she styles it, immediately people are like, oh, this is so Erin. This is so on brand. And she's able to even see like the venue, the things that I don't see as the leader and the host. She's like, okay, this space is missing this. This space is missing this. You're known for this. We need to add this element. Like it's a gift and one that I lack. And I'm very appreciative of her skill set on that.
Stop. Keep going.
I love that. And if you haven't, stop, keep going. I love her. And if you haven't checked out her brand is very fire too. Like, I love seeing your posts. I love seeing all of it. I'm over here like, oh my gosh, girl, can you just come over and do all my shit for me? So, fire brand. I love it. And I totally agree with you, Erin. So, well, let's just jump in a little bit for, I don't know, whoever wants to start, or you guys maybe have, I think maybe you guys planned who's going to do what, but just talk about what you want to share at the forum. What's important to share?
I think what's interesting and great about working with Daesha is that we both handle logistics, coordination, things like that. But when it comes to the logistics of like exactly what food should be ordered because we need to know what serving platters we're going to use and have all of the ladles for whatever we need and all of that those kind of details, that's really like where my brain lives, and I can walk into the room and see, oh my God, we're going to run into this problem, we're going to run into that problem, we're going to run into this problem. What Daesha has the amazing ability to do is to walk into a space, and I honestly, it could look like a Soviet bloc, like boring room, and Daesha can turn it into something spectacular. Mm-hmm. So if you need to really translate and communicate your brand in a way that maybe you haven't been able to in the past, I think Daesha can unlock that for you. If you need to learn or you need someone to handle the details of what happens when someone arrives late and has no luggage? What happens when, you know, you need a drugstore and they're all closed because it's Champagne, France? What, you know, all of those kind of details are like up my alley. But just as, like I said, just as I spot, okay, this logistical thing is going to be a problem 3 days from now, I feel like Daesha spots this visual, this brand element is not, you know, she will tell you whether it's going to communicate effectively what you're trying to communicate.
Yes.
And if you're one of those people, sorry, I'll stop talking.
No, and I was gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is the problem when you have 5 people who are
Definitely
like go-getters and leaders and entrepreneurs. Right. I was gonna say, like, the things that Matt and Daesha are talking about are I think the next iteration of retreat logistics. I believe that people learn a cookie cutter, like timeline of logistics. These are the things that you need to take care of. And they feel like, okay, I'm checking off this box. I've got the agreement. I'm checking off this box. I've negotiated this. I'm checking off this box. I've got this. But it's the nuance and it's these details that in later stages of retreat leadership that become really, really important. And from the forum perspective, because we're working with and people who are coming are seasoned business owners, seasoned retreat professionals, it's learning from Daesha and Matt. Okay, what are those nuances? What are those little high level details that, like, now when you're playing at this game, you've got to start incorporating?
I think the main takeaway that we want to provide is that, yes, we can give you a checklist. We can make sure there's a timeline, right? But who is going to hold you during this process? Like, and that is so important as a retreat leader, knowing that you have somebody that has your back and knows what's best for you and that you can rely on during those hard moments, like which you guys have experienced. It is just it's super valuable, and it's something that you have to have when you're playing at a bigger level.
Yeah, to hold you and to hold your glass of champagne.
I mean, priorities or your sugar-free Red Bull. Okay.
Right.
And it's also too, just because Dacia's helped me with one of my Alison K experiences this fall in Portugal, it's having someone to think ahead for you too. Like, okay, now we need to think about this. And it's not that I'm not thinking about it, but to have somebody like remind me and say, we need to be thinking about this. I'm going to go ahead and work on this. And here's what when you get a chance, just whatever. And it's kind of like, you know, I know what I want sometimes, but it's like having someone to help me like organize and keep the train moving, right?
You're running multiple different, things. You have so many different eggs in the basket, and you need like, hey, this is what you need to do. I love bossing people around. Like that's
Here's what I love, because I get to see it. I got to see it in France. I can tell by Daesha's work and already having some relationships with her, and then plus my own retreat coordinators. The thing that really, really impresses me is it really having someone like Daesha or Matt on your team and present during your retreat really allows that retreat leader to focus on the transformation, to focus on their promise, and not worry about the ladles or the platters or the 3 days ahead, like Alison said, because they're doing it. And they're literally just telling you, hey, by the way, I took care of this. Hey, by the way, this is already done. Hey, you know what I mean? And the other thing that I really love, because this is one thing that I don't think enough people take into consideration. Another example is like when you're on retreat, that if something does go wrong, it could be little things. The plumbing went out on a toilet or who knows, whatever it is, like something goes, that's the contact person is your coordinator and not the leader, because the leader shouldn't be carrying that type of stuff and thinking about that type of stuff. And so Daesha and Matt are going to get the opportunity to talk about these types of things and some additional tips and strategies. And this is what we love the most, is then we're going to open it up to questions and discussion. And the audience gets to be involved and ask, well, what about this? And what does this look like? And how, those types of things. Because both Matt and Daesha pointed out something that I think is also important. You have to hire the coordinator that works for your personality. You know, if you're like, you want to hold on to the details, I don't know why the fuck for, but if you do want to hold on to the details, then, you're going to look for someone who's not going to focus on that, but maybe is going to focus on the guest experience. Or you don't want to have nothing to do with the details. You know what I mean? Like, you have to hire based on your personality. So.
Well, and our brains are only capable of holding so much, right? There becomes a moment in retreat leadership where your retreats have progressed and grown and evolved, and everything that you're doing on those retreats, to where I keep saying my teacup runneth over. Like, I can't fit any more in the teacup. It's all spilling out. And so having somebody to handle those logistics, so crucial, because otherwise things get missed. We're human. We can't do everything.
And as a retreat leader too, you're holding space for everybody there. So to know that something's not going to fall in the cracks is like, I mean, the peace of mind is like well worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and actually, Alison, that goes exactly to what I was about to say, which is, I think if at the end of the day, the person, when something goes wrong at 11:30 at night, if the guest is contacting the retreat leader, you have a problem within your setup.
Yeah.
Because you as the retreat leader need to be preparing for your next day. You can't solve the air conditioning that the venue won't help you fix, or you can't translate for that's why it needs to be a separate person, because you are delivering what Alison always likes to talk about, which is a retreat promise. And the more you're stretched thin on the stuff that is not related to the details of your retreat promise, the less you're able to deliver that experience for your clients.
100%.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even just one coordinator or one logistics person or one planner. Sometimes it's two. I'm planning a retreat in France in 2027, and I'm taking my in-house retreat coordinator with me who does all of my retreats, but I also hired someone locally in France, someone who speaks the language, who has relationships, and who's going to be on site the whole time as well. And so depending on your operation, depending on your setup, it may not just be one. You may need two coordinators. You may need more depending on your group size. I don't know, or what kind of logistical nightmares you've got planned for yourself. But, the fact that you have a minimum of one, and I'll challenge you to say it doesn't even matter what playing field you're on. Yeah, of course, if you're at the high play field, sure. Even if you're starting, y'all, if you're just starting the retreat business, this is your first rodeo, I'm just going to challenge you that you can't do it all. And if you try to do it all, it's not going to be the best experience that the guest could possibly have, which doesn't result in the long-term sales and sustainability that you want.
Yeah. My rule of thumb is one facilitator per 5 attendees. So if there are 10 people on your retreat, in addition to you need at least one more person. Sancerre, France, coming up, my retreat in September, 20 attendees. I need 4 people. I need 4 because it's just, you're not capable of managing that many things and that many people at one time. Daesha, there was something that you were going to add.
Oh, I was going to say also monitoring the group chat that's going on like during retreat, because, this is locked, or, there's so many things happening and you don't want to be like focused on all the texts that are going off and happening around you. Like when you delegate that is one less thing off your plate.
Yeah, it is. And if you didn't catch that, because this is going to sound really funny, but you should have a group chat. Believe it or not, there are some hosts that will book our venue and then they're like, well, I'll just email everybody out. And I'm like, have you not created a WhatsApp group or a Voxer group or any type of group? Oh, that's a good idea. Anyway, I couldn't agree more. Like, you as a leader, once again, your whole focus, you're done with the logistics and planning by the time you show up to that retreat. Your entire focus from that there on out, from the moment you invite your first guest in, is the experience and the promise you're wanting to deliver. So Matt's right. If there's text going on at 11 o'clock at night because of some bullshit with the venue, or who knows what, there's a spider in their room and they're afraid of it, I don't know. The leader should not be even looking at it. They should pretty much have it on Do Not Disturb, and sure, they can have their retreat coordinator being the only call that can come through for real emergencies, like a massive medical emergency or something. But your retreat coordinator should be taking all of that stuff. You should be thinking about it.
You all know that, like, as a retreat leader, I remove myself from the moment I am like leaving the retreat venue, I stay off site. I silence notifications. I've got Matt or Daesha. They're the go-to person. My attendees don't have my cell phone number. Like Daesha and Matt have my cell phone number because if there's an emergency and they need to get in touch with me, they're going to contact me via cell phone. But everything else I have to turn off. Otherwise, I cannot be present the next day to deliver on the promise that I sold people.
And you show up looking fabulous too every morning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But it's true. I know that, some of you might be listening and going, what? I'm telling you, if you've got any of that shit, and I'm going to get a tiny bit woo on your subconscious, it's like this heaviness that you then show up to facilitate.
Carrying it around when you don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to. Unless it's like this, I can only think of extreme cases where we've had to, in my business, I've had to involve the police a couple times. Okay, obviously the retreat leader is going to have to get involved at some point in that situation. That's so rare, if ever, it's going to happen. Almost 99.999% of the things that are happening on retreat, the coordinator can handle and be first stop. And ideally doesn't even let it get to you unless later on the host says, how's everything going? They say, oh, took care of a couple things, it's all done. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't even come into your hemisphere, to be quite frank with you. Maybe at the end of retreat when it's all over, that's when you sit down and say, yeah, these things came up for the future, and you have the little powwow, however you do it, your business. But it should not come in your hemisphere. You should not be carrying around anything that's happening on retreat unless it absolutely needs to involve you.
Yeah. I think what's great is like we all agree that providing a end user, a guest experience, if you will, is really valuable. And I would ask the three retreat leaders on this call right now, like how valuable is it to leave your guest wanting to return to your retreat? Because in so many businesses that I've worked in outside of retreats, a big issue is like you can sell to a client you've already sold to much more easily than you can sell to someone that's, fresh off the street. So I know that having a retreat coordinator enables the retreat leader to deliver a true experience. Like Erin said, I sold you something. I want to deliver that thing I sold you to you. Is it true that if you really provide that experience, you get clients that are coming back to your retreats and signing up again?
Yeah. Yeah, of course
100%.
it is.
And I really like to say, like, luxury is not in just the thread count. Yeah, that's great. But it's really in the feeling of being taken care of and held and supported. Like that is true luxury. And when you have that support who can like really take care of your guests, it's just, it's invaluable. And that, like what Matt said, that's what makes them coming back is that feeling that they have when they're at your retreats.
Yeah, not only can you deliver on your promise when that happens and what you sold them, but also the guests feel the organization. They feel that there's a team. They feel that this is like a business. And I mean, I'm just going to say it when, you've heard, every one of us on here have heard stories where guests show up and it's like a clusterfuckery. And who do I contact for this? I don't know, and I mean, so when they have this type of experience, Matt, that you're talking about, where we can deliver and they see it as a business, it 100% affects the ability to have that same guest come back. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Because I've only worked as the coordinator and the logistics person and not been at the top of the food chain in terms of like sales strategy. So, but I think that's so valuable because those clients that understand and get your brand and, especially a brand communicated with the brilliance of Daesha's abilities, like that's more valuable than I know how to quantify.
Yeah, I would say for all of us, Shannon, Alison, and me, how many of our retreat attendees are repeat retreat attendees, 50% at least.
At least
I mean,
50, sometimes more.
sometimes more,
Yep.
right? And they come back because you've delivered on the promise. The experience was, I wouldn't even say impeccable, because we're not looking for perfection, but the overall experience was exceptional to where they're like, I want to experience that or something similar again. And so, I mean, we all do. We have people who come retreat after retreat after retreat because they know when they come to one of my retreats, the experience is going to be exceptional. When they go to one of your retreats, they know that they're going to walk away with having had an exceptional experience and wanting more. Yeah, always. You always want them wanting more.
Yes. And I'm glad you said it's not about perfection, because I want to make this clear, just because you have a coordinator or 2 coordinators or 3 coordinators or however many, it doesn't mean there's not going to be things that come up. But the key there is, how is it handled? And when you have a team and a process in place like that, that is what they'll remember, is how it was handled, not the actual issue that went wrong. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I've actually had a retreat experience where the retreat was like out of this world. And then something happened that was literally beyond all of our humanly control. Daesha's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. And there was somebody in attendance who that could have gone very sour, and the reason she continues to stay and the reason that she stayed was because she said, if you had handled this any differently, I would have been gone. But because of how you handled it, I'm here. And now she's like the biggest cheerleader. She's the biggest freaking cheerleader,
Yes.
And it really is in how you handle the situations and just knowing that you are not in control of really anything.
No, we're not. Well, you guys, I am so, so excited. I feel like a broken record saying it over and over again, but I can't think of another word other than excitement to see you guys in May, for you guys to share more tips and tools in your wheelhouse, and also just to open it up for questions and allow the audience to get to really understand the importance of it and how it affects their business. So thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So excited.
It's such an honor to work with the 3 of you, and we're so excited to be a part of an event that is led by leaders like you.
Woo! All right, loves. We will see you guys in May.
Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.